Welcome back to The Real Story. Jeb Bush getting some help on the campaign trail. His mama bear, former First Lady Barbara Bush, joining him on stage for the first time since he announced his bid for the White House. Mrs. Bush telling voters in New Hampshire that Jeb has the character to lead this country.
I don't know how women can vote for someone who said what he said about Megyn Kelly. It's terrible. And money doesn't buy everything. It's accomplishments and what you're doing and giving, and it's incomprehensible to me.
He's decent and honest. He's everything we need in a president.
Joining me now, somebody who knows her well, Ari Fleisher, former White House press secretary to George W. Bush, her other son, one of her other sons. Great to have you here.
Great to be here.
So, you know, the million-dollar question is, why wasn't Mama Bear out there on the trail earlier?
I think Jeb's challenge was always to prove who he was, to make sure that people understood what he stood for, stand on his own feet, not be under the Bush family. And then there's an appropriate time as Election Day comes, you roll in the thunder, you bring in the big hitters.
Yeah, but the thing is, you know, he seemed to shy away from the Bush name. Even his campaign slogan is Jeb, exclamation point. But then in the recent debates and interviews, I mean, not just weeks, but a couple of months, he's been saying, look, I'm proud of the Bush name. So why didn't he roll them out when he started doing that?
I think he's always said that. And I remember a candidate, a U.S. Senator from Tennessee named Lamar Alexander. He had a Lamar with an exclamation point. I don't think he was afraid to be an Alexander. Jeb has always been proud of who he is as a Bush, and I'm not for Jeb. I am neutral in this race. But he knew, every candidate knows, you have to prove who you are yourself, whether you're Hillary Clinton, Rand Paul, or Jeb Bush. It's not about your husband, your father or your brother. Okay,
let's listen to something else. This is his second weapon in the arsenal. He has his brother George W. Bush. Now, the Super PAC has put out an ad with him.
The first job of the president is to protect America. Our next president must be prepared to lead. I know Jeb. I know his good heart and his strong backbone.
So again, they said that the intention was to do this nearing the end of the campaign. But again, I'm going to ask, is it too close to the end for Jeb Bush?
Well, we'll find out. I think New Hampshire is going to be crucial, of course, to Jeb's future. I think no matter what happens, he's in through South Carolina. I do think that after New Hampshire and South Carolina, but you'll see this race start to really winnow by March 1st. I don't know which side of that Jeb is going to be on. It really depends on how he does in New Hampshire.
All right, we're already down to just 9 now. So new polling shows Trump well in the lead in New Hampshire, 30%. Rubio surging to second place now, 17. Cruz not far behind, 15%. And Rubio looking stronger when it comes to voters' second choice for the White House. When first and second choice percentages are combined, Rubio is just 3 points behind Trump. So it's fascinating to look at all these different machinations, Ari. You know, you can look at who would you vote for if this person dropped out, etc. But when you put first and second choice together, is that extra special in your mind?
Well, it is, and this is what you have to watch out for. Can Rubio be the surprise of New Hampshire the way he in substantial ways was the surprise of Iowa? But you also have to look out for, can Ted Cruz, with his solid block of conservatives that he's going to keep, divide and conquer the rest of the field? Will Trump and Rubio and Bush and Kasich carve each other up and leave Ted with the greatest plurality, even in not very conservative New Hampshire? This race is so multidimensional, and it's because you have so many candidates who are running decent enough races. Previously, we're down to 2 candidates by now, maybe 3. In New Hampshire, you've got a lot who can hurt each other.
We just had a discussion about the polls. You know, we sort of saw in Iowa that it didn't turn out the way that it should have based on the polls. So inside campaigns now, are they looking at different research, or what are they doing?
Well, every poll, every campaign, every good campaign has its own poll. They have their own trackers, and they have their own consistent data that they look at. But what worries every campaign are late breakers. What's happening for the undecided in New Hampshire and Iowa? Historically, they vote late because they get to enjoy this political season so much. They have all the candidates up there so often, they take their time thinking about it, and they change their mind. So it's the late breakers that drive campaigns crazy because you really can't figure it out.
Yep, and they worked for Rubio and Cruz in Iowa. We'll see what happens in New Hampshire. Great to see you.
Thanks, Gretchen.